As far as injuries today, Sean Wick did not complete practice. I think he's got some cartilage on his ribs that they're a little bit concerned about, so they held him out of the back half of practice, but everybody else finished. We're continuing to work on our vertical passing game. We're throwing the ball deep. We're not completing as many as what we'd like. Really pleased with some of the progress with Lucas Waka as another year at Mike. Also, Logan Wilson is starting to establish himself as a really good will linebacker, so we're encouraged about his progress. Some things in the secondary, we think C.J. Jennings is starting to emerge. We tried to throw the ball vertical on our corner some today, and C.J. answered the bell every time, so I was encouraged about that. We did go inside today. We had some challenges with high winds, and I always get concerned about putting a guy up on a lift. And so we chose to go inside. So that's pretty much how practice went. So questions?
You said the defense kind of dominated that scrimmage part, Craig. Was that, and you said it's encouraging? Would you like to see the offense do more, or you still like to see that defense?
Well, Tim and I talked about that. He said, well, as an old defensive coach, you probably loved it. And I said, well, I've been a head coach for a lot of years, too. I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more balance, a little bit more wins by the offense. But most of the time on the first scrimmage, you're going to have more of a dominance by defense, and that certainly came about today.
You're about halfway through.
We are halfway through,
Is there any separation at quarterback? I know you're going to take a lot of looks, and it's a lot of.
We are, but I think Josh is, he's ahead, and both of them, the advantage of having two is we'll have enough repetition, but both guys are going to get looks, but. I think Josh is starting to, so some of the things that he had shown when we came in as a starter against Eastern Michigan. So certainly not exactly where we want him to be, but he's making steps, and we appreciate Nick's days out there. We're grading every play, every practice, but right now Josh is doing a little bit better. Saturday, the scrimmage over in Cheyenne will be a pretty big deal. That'll be a big show. I was telling Tim, we'll probably scrimmage between 70 and 100 plays, a little bit more than what we normally have done. So it's going to be a pretty good showing. Obviously, you guys are welcome through the whole thing, so you can kind of get your critiquing and then give me the depth chart after the scrimmage.
Do you expect to have a little more balance this year in the passing game as far as the receivers go?
Well, certainly do. A lot of those guys are back. And, when you have two guys like Jake and Tanner, both of them, and Tanner was really emerging as one of the top receivers in the league, and so it'll be great to have their presence out there. And I think we've gotten some good response by our younger players. Justice Murphy's continuing to pick up some things. C.J. Johnson's doing some good things out there. Joe Parker, we've got it, and James Price. It's kind of a whole listing, and we're going to continue to look at Austin Conway too.
How do you like, I think you said last week in the secondary at corner, that's maybe one of the most competitive areas of the team.
It is.
Does it continue to be? Is there any guys separating or even groups of guys, or is it
Well, what's good is every day there's good competition, and competition brings out the best in a man. And, C.J. Jennings last year played against Nevada, and I think he played in the UNLV game and played pretty well. Roberts played a lot of football here, Antonio Hall. And then we're pleased with Davion Freeman. So you've got four guys there, and typically we play with more than two corners, but that competition has been good. I think we're I wouldn't say solidified at the safety position with Marcus and Andrew, but there's a little bit more separation at the safety position than there is corner.
You mentioned Davion. You excited to get his speed out there this year?
Well, there's no doubt. Davion's may have the best change of direction and acceleration of anybody on our football team. I was talking to Russell Dennison, our strength coach, and he noticed that. He's still a little bit light. He's about 160 pounds, but to have his athleticism out there and also just another competitive guy is certainly good.
No, didn't see Cummings out there again. Craig, how's Sternman doing filling in? I know depth along that whole line is important. How's he doing right now?
He's doing okay, but it'd be great to get Ryan out there. The best guess we can have is maybe have him back out there for some live contact on Tuesday. I just don't think he'll be ready to go for scrimmage. He was still having some symptoms today, and so you've got to be several days before they clear you.
You mentioned the linebacker. What are you seeing out of that group just in general?
Well, first of all, it's been great to have, Lucas Walker, he bounced between the Will and the Mike, and I know from the naked eye on the stands, you don't know the difference, but there's a pretty significant difference in the Tampa 2 between the two places, and he's the bell cow, and Lucas has done a really good job. I thought he made a couple nice plays, some good tackles today. As we said earlier, I think Logan Wilson is really emerging. We're pleased with that transition. Then we're going to look at that Sam linebacker spot, and we'll find out who rises to the top. Sam and the nickel are kind of interchanged. It's just a little bit contingent on who we play.